88 years after the Crusaders conquered Jerusalem, the forces of Islam finally had a leader who could match their fury, a man of honor, chivalry, and brilliant military genius. His name was Saladin. When his army recaptured the Holy City, it would provoke a response from the West unlike any other, a Crusade of Kings, pitting the legendary Richard the Lionheart against the Sultan in a battle for the fate of the world. Saladin's story began not as a king, but as a Kurdish soldier. Through skill and ambition, he rose to become the Sultan of Egypt and Syria, uniting the fractured Muslim world under a single banner, a holy war to drive the Crusaders from the Holy Land. In 1187, at the Battle of Hattin, Saladin lured the Crusader army into a waterless desert and annihilated them, capturing their king and their most sacred relic, a piece of the true cross. Days later, he marched on Jerusalem. But unlike the Crusader sack 88 years earlier, Saladin offered terms. He took the city with almost no bloodshed, earning a reputation for mercy and honor throughout the known world. The fall of Jerusalem sent a tidal wave of shock and grief across Europe. The Pope called for a new crusade, and this time the three most powerful kings in Christendom answered the call. There was Frederick Barbarossa, the Holy Roman Emperor, Philip Augustus, the King of France, and his great rival, King Richard I of England, known as the Lionheart. It was the largest, wealthiest, and most powerful Crusader army ever assembled. But the crusade was plagued by disaster. Barbarossa drowned crossing a river, and most of his army went home. Philip, after helping to capture the key city of Acre, quarreled with Richard and left as well. The Crusade of Kings had become a duel between two men, Richard the Lionheart and Saladin. For over a year, the two legends battled for control of the coast. Richard, a brilliant and brutal warrior, marched his army south, defeating Saladin's forces at the Battle of Arsuf with a perfectly timed cavalry charge. But he knew that while he could win battles, he couldn't hold Jerusalem. The two men, though enemies, developed a profound mutual respect. They exchanged gifts and messages, two warriors recognizing each other's greatness. In the end, they signed a truce. Jerusalem would remain under Saladin's control, but he guaranteed unarmed Christian pilgrims safe passage to the city's holy sites. Richard the Lionheart, having never reached Jerusalem, sailed for home. Saladin, the unifier of Islam and victor of Hattin, died just months later. The Third Crusade was a spectacular failure for the Christians, but it was also a story of legendary honor. It left the Crusader states intact for another century and created an immortal legend of two rival kings, one Christian, one Muslim, who embodied the highest ideals of their people. But the failure to recapture Jerusalem would leave a bitter taste in Europe. The next call for a crusade would be answered, but it would be twisted by greed and politics, leading not to a battle against Islam, but to the horrific betrayal and sack of a Christian city. Click the video on your screen to watch the full story of the Fourth Crusade in 3 minutes, and be sure to subscribe to Epic Past so you don't miss a single story that shaped our world.